Welcome back, or if you're new here, just welcome. Today, we're going to be covering every approach and every style of tackling the Cayo Perico Heist. So the Cayo Perico Heist is arguably the best way of making money solo in Grand Theft Auto Online. It's so good that most players find a route that works for them and then play it to death. And when you get in between 1.2 and 1.8 million for around an hour's work, I can't blame you for farming it, I know I have. It's great for your bank balance, but it can get boring. So to help you switch things up a bit, I've been through every solo approach to the Cayo Perico Heist, and I've created this Cayo Perico Mega Guide. This covers every approach to and on the island, and all the prep missions. Now there's a lot to get through, so let's get cracking. We'll be covering pre-Cayo prep, the prep missions themselves, the island approach, secondary loot, inside the compound, and escaping the island. So I'll cover each of these, but I won't be doing every combination. There are 6 ways to arrive on the island, and when you get there are 4 different ways to get into the compound. Some have multiple locations. There are 4 different locations for secondary loot. You can choose to do the main target before or after the secondaries, and then there are 5 ways to leave the island, and broadly speaking 3 different playstyles. That's almost 3,000 potential combinations. So if each finale took 10 minutes, this video would be 480 hours long. And as much as I'd love to keep you watching for all of that, I do worry that some of you may starve to death before we finish. So what I've done is mix these up so everything is covered. You can mix and match the tips as you see fit. We'll cover every approach vehicle. We'll take an aggressive approach, perfect stealth, and a balanced approach. We'll even give the guards diarrhea to make life easier. And if you've seen any of my videos, you'll know I'm not the best player in the world. I'm not even the best player in this room, and there's no one else in this room. So I'll be covering this in a way that I can understand. You know, kind of like this.
Okay, one last time. These are small, but the ones out there are far away.
So we'll start with a few tips. These apply to all approaches. Firstly, and most importantly, before you start, top up on snacks and armour to save you having to restock halfway through. Snacks are free in your agency, but more importantly, they're free in your sub. And don't forget to pick up the free ammo that's scattered all over the sub. All of these missions are easier with either the Oppressor or the Sparrow, but if you don't have them, they can be completed without. You can usually steal an attack buzzard anyway. If you're just starting to make money, buy the Sparrow first. It's cheaper than the Oppressor and it's a good deal faster. It has better missiles and it can be stored on your sub. It also costs nothing if you wreck it and can be spawned quickly and really close by. On top of that, it's also more satisfying once you learn to fly it better than I can. The main difference is that it takes a little longer to land and take off, which does make some missions tricky, in particular the weapons and plasma cutter ones. But the better you get at controlling the Sparrow, the less this is a problem. Just make sure to keep ground warfare to a minimum and get in the air as soon as possible and you'll be fine. The key to doing Cayo preps quickly is having your sub in the right place. You can fast travel, but I prefer to call it mid-mission, such as here. I had the sub up in Palito Bay for the Vellum mission, but then called it from the interaction menu as I flew over the docks. This means that when I get back from Cayo, it's already in the right place for the weapons mission. There are a few prep missions that are common across all approaches, so let's have a look at those now. First is the scoping mission. Now this will always be towards the top of the map, so have your sub in Palito Bay and you have a good chance of being close to wherever the mission spawns. Take out the car and one of the guns with your missiles, then land for the last one as it will usually be too close to the plane and you don't want to risk blowing it up. If you're doing this in a public session, I'd recommend flying as high as you can before diving to the marker, remembering to call your Kasatka as you fly over the Merryweather base. Now flying high doesn't guarantee that you won't get griefed, but it makes it a lot less likely. Though I will say there's absolutely no benefit to doing this in a public session at all. There's no high demand bonus and, you know, griefer's gonna grief, so you might as well go invite only. When you get to Cayo, always check the 2 buildings on the airstrip. There will usually be enough in there for full loot bags when playing solo. When you're done, steal the bike and head over to the tower. Don't go too fast as it's easy to come off. The easiest route is to go up the side of the hill to the left of this tower. For some reason your bike will just drive straight over this. If you do get caught, then a second bike will spawn at the airstrip just up here, which is a lot easier than trying to get over there in a jeep. If you're going over the wall or need a disguise, it's best to find the grappling hook and the disguises now. This gives you a better chance of getting the elite challenge on the finale, as you won't be wasting time searching. I've linked a great map in the description for this. With the control tower done, you can think about whether you want to scope any other locations. If you're playing solo, you only need to scope one location, as there will be enough loot there in any single one of them, especially if you have paintings in the office as well. But it's just down to you to choose which one you prefer. Now for the elephant in the room, the weapons prep missions. Now I usually do this first by calling the sub when I fly out for the prep, so it's in the right place when I come back. And there are two types of missions. The first, you go to a building in the city, go in through the roof, kill a few morons and escape. Easy. The second is the infamous Valkyrie mission. Now this is the most boring mission I've come across in all of GTA Online. So I've decided that I never want to do it again, and all it took was a measly 1.9 million, and I have to say it was worth every penny. The 1.9 million for cruise missiles on the sub seems like a lot at first, but with this you'll never have to follow the Valkyrie again. Just park your sub near the docks, trigger the weapons mission, and if it says go to Merryweather HQ, just take a seat and shoot that slow ass thing off the roof. Keep doing this, alternating seats to get around the cooldown until you get a better mission. Usually this will be the next time around, but sometimes you might need to do it a few more times. You can try changing your weapons loadout as well to trigger that. The most I've had to do it was 5 times, and that was still better and more fun than following GTA's equivalent of James May all across the map. So when you eventually do get the office mission, you can use the Sparrow or the Oppressor. If using the Sparrow, take your time to land cleanly and close to the door. The Sparrow takes longer to get going than the Oppressor, so you'll need to run straight out and get gone. So spending a few extra seconds landing it well and close to the door will be well worth it. When you come out, don't engage, you'll probably just die. And if you do, you'll spawn at ground level and you'll need to get your Oppressor or another heli to get back to the roof to collect the weapons. Once you're in the heli, you can outrun the buzzards easily. Try to lose height before you meet your sub, and then just aim for this bit here and get ready to spam right on the D-pad as to enter your sub, or the equivalent key on PC. You don't need to slow down to pull this off when you get used to it. Now we have weapons, it's a good time to do the fingerprint cloner. Now this is because this is quite a chilled mission, and it's a good place to call your Oppressor and switch across ready for the next mission. So kill the goons, perform the easiest hack in history, and then head over to the warehouse. I don't usually bother with the cameras at the warehouse, especially if you're on the Oppressor, because you'll be long gone before backup turns up. If you're on the Oppressor, carefully park it here. It will only stay there for a minute or so before it falls off, so quickly run in and trigger the next mission, which for me would be the plasma cutter. And this is so much easier on the Mark II. Find the safe house, just take the photo from the door, it will catch the board wherever it is in the room, then leave and head over to the gang. Get lined up with the gang and just spam the hell out of them with your homing missiles. Get the first of the cars that come, then just fly over the cutter and get the hell out of Dodge. For this mission you also have to fly over the yellow dot at some point, so make sure you've done that, otherwise you'll just have to fly back when you get to the sub. This mission is doable in the Sparrow, but you'll need to do a little bit of crowd control before trying to fly off. So, get back in your heli or on your Oppressor and... run away! If you have the safe code, take the Sparrow and head to the casino. Land in the car park to the side, not around the front, because this is where you'll come out. Head in and down to the basement. The card will always be in a yellow Lampadati, so grab that and head to the lift. Here you can carefully take out both guards with a silence weapon, then put your gun away. You'll be able to walk around indoors until you find El Rubio's guy. Then find a decent spot, always kill him first as he has a more powerful gun, and then just slaughter everyone. I've never managed to steal the code from him without him noticing, so I assume it's not possible, but if you know different, please do let me know in the comments. Then get back in your heli and... run away! Last of the common preps is the cutting torch. Now you can do this in anything and it will always be in the city, so your sub should be at Vespucci Beach. Head over to wherever the mission is and park up. Always grab the hard hat first, as this makes this mission so much easier. For the house build it will be near the cabin, for the big site it is on the far left, and for the skyscraper it's on the very top floor above the guards. This means you can move around more easily, just don't bump into anyone and don't stay near a guard for more than a few seconds. Find the torch, get back in your heli, and guess what?
Run away!
Now let's look at each approach. So we'll start in 6th and last place on my list, and that's the patrol boat, which I think is easily the worst solo approach. Not only are the missions to steal the patrol boat quite difficult, they're actually very long and quite frustrating. In fact, they're probably more frustrating than difficult, if I'm completely honest with you. And being such a hard mission, you'd expect to get benefits on the island, but from what I can see, the only benefit is that the boat has quite a nice face painted on the side. And as lovely as this is, as a solo player, the patrol boat gives you nothing that you can't do in the longfin, and the longfin does it all better and has a much better steal mission. As a team, the steal missions would be easy and probably quite good fun. You'd find yourself on the island in an armoured boat with a machine gun that could be operated by a passenger. So this is clearly a group-based approach. But considering that approach vehicles tend to despawn after the compound, you'd need to leave someone with it anyway. So with that, we'll leave it there. In 5th, I have the Stealth Annihilator. Now this is another good group approach, as it puts you in a deserted part of the island, usually quite close to one of the spawn points for the grappling hook, and there are usually 2 vehicles quite close by. This has a 2-part steal mission, the first part being fairly challenging but good fun, and then you need to do a second mission to get a pilot. Again, I'd say this approach is more difficult for solo players, and it doesn't really give any significant benefit, neither is it more fun. So I'd say this one also is probably best avoided, unless you just want to experience all of the options available. Moving on to 4th place now, and that's the Vellum. Now this has by far the easiest steal mission of all. It's basically the same as the Vellum steal mission for the scoping out. So this will land you at the airport, where you can loot the secondaries easily before stealing a motorbike to get to the compound. But if you do choose this approach, don't forget to buy the weapons stash on your mission start screen. Otherwise...
Wait there. Arms out. Okay. Mierda! Un arma! Préndala! Ah!
And you start with... well... In 3rd, we have the Alkonost. Now, this has quite a fun steal mission, actually. Clear out the hangar, take your time and fly over to LSI-8. Then you'll need to do a second steal mission to get a pilot. Now these are all quite easy and nothing really of note here, but this approach allows you to land anywhere on the island apart from in the compound. So this is great for solo players, as you can go straight to your chosen secondary loot location, but it's also great for teams because you could split up for secondaries and meet for the main target if that's what you wanted to do. In 2nd place it's the Kasatka. Now this has a fairly easy steal mission once you know your way around the sub. The jammer will spawn in one of 3 locations, just work through the sub, killing the soldiers as you go. Have your weapon up as you go around corners because they are sneaky little buggers, and make sure you've called your sub close by for when you leave. That way you can just steal a boat and it's only a short hop across, or you can even steal the rebreathers from near the entrance to the sub, the little white dot, and then you can just swim to your sub, avoiding the chasing helis. This approach will drop you straight into the compound, ideal if you have 1 or more paintings, or if you just want a quick take and are not too fussed about the secondaries. It's by far the easiest approach to the island, but it is a more difficult way of getting a full take, and way out in the lead, it's the longfin for several reasons. First, that steal mission never gets boring. You show me someone who's bored with flipping police cars like this, and I'll show you someone who's bored with life. First you need to get the longfin. Now Pavel will direct you to a police station where it's being stored. I usually throw a couple of homing missiles in at this point. You don't need to kill all of them, and you don't want to destroy the longfin, but getting the cops all agitated now does make things a little bit easier later on. Annoyingly, you can't use your MOC cab for this, so if you don't own a Phantom Wedge, which I don't, you'll need to steal one. Pavel will give you 2 options. And if you check your minimap, you'll see that one option has one truck and the other will have two trucks. Always head to the one with one truck, as this will be the wedge. By the time you've flown over there, you'll have just about lost your 3-star wanted level from the police station. If not, just hover for a few seconds until it's gone. Then land, shoot the guys, and take the truck. When you get close to the police station, stop and drop a pin here. This is because the location you need to drop the truck at is always the same, but it won't show until you've lost the cops. So if you don't know your way from memory, you'll have to lose your cops and then make your way over. But there is an easier way. So drop the pin, fill up on snacks and armour, and grab the trailer. Grabbing the trailer will be easier now, because there should only be 1 or 2 cops left after you melted all of the other ones. Head straight to the pin you've dropped. You might actually lose the cops anyway. You probably won't if you're not trying, but just don't bother trying, you don't need to. Just head to the pin. When you get there, pull up just short of where the marker would be and get out. Then just run up the dock and blow yourself up. Or let the cops shoot you. You'll respawn a few meters away with no wanted level and the truck will be in the right place. So just drive it forward a few feet and you've just saved yourself 5 minutes of losing the cops and finding your way back here. Arriving at the island by the long fin gives you the most options. It can seat your whole team, but for solo players, you can get straight to any secondary loot location, then head back to the drainage tunnel for the easiest way in. I usually head to the airstrip, then to the drainage tunnel, and I get elite challenge every time, averaging 10 to 12 minutes for the finale. Yep, you can do it faster, but this way is really easy to remember and it will consistently give you full loot in under 15 minutes. Now to rate the methods. As we said before, there are 3 main playstyles when it comes to completing the heist. In last place, I've put perfect stealth. Now when I ran this one, I also tried to switch it up by taking the main target first and then the secondaries. Doing that makes perfect stealth much harder, so I wouldn't recommend doing it this way around unless you just want it to be hard. When aiming to complete with no kills and full loot bags, this route is very difficult for 2 reasons. Firstly, the only way out of the compound I could find was to swim. I just couldn't find a way past these guards by stealth. So this approach does take a very long time, making the elite challenge very difficult. And secondly, most of the secondary loot locations have entrances that are either fully covered, well covered, or the guards in there will hear you when you open the gate. The only one I could get into and out again easily was the hangar. And whilst you can sneak past this idiot, it's a little inconsistent, so I'd recommend going around. Stealth within the compound is easy. You just have to wait for some guards and then walk around the back of others. This guy never moves once he gets here, so you can be in and out in no time. Your best approach route for perfect stealth with the primary target first is the Casaca, as they lead straight into the compound and you can sneak around the back of all the guards. For perfect stealth, I also chose to exit through one of the approved methods, just to make it even more complex. So, if you want to leave through the airstrip, you'll need to turn off the air defences, but you'll need to kill guards to do that, so it doesn't work if you're going for perfect stealth, but it's fine for a balanced or aggressive approach. So, I chose the Casaca as my main exit, which just meant diving off the top of the island and swimming for it. So stealth with full loot is probably the most difficult option if you're looking for the full payout, and it does take a long time, and some of it is not that interesting. That's why it's in last place. In second place I've got aggressive. Now this is probably the most fun version because you just kill everyone. But I put it in second place as you will get hit quite a lot, and every time you get hit you lose cash. So to help me with this approach, I decided to poison the guards on the scoping mission. To do this, find the cutting powder at one of these locations, then drop it into one of the water towers here. Now I'll not go into detail on the effect it has, and maybe I'll let Pavel cover that for you.
As we say in Russia, you cannot wipe your ass and shoot your gun at the same time.
Now I can't really say this had much of an effect. Guards outside the compound are still useless. The heli pilots couldn't hit the earth if they were standing on it, and the guards in the compound go from being utterly useless dipsticks with no peripheral vision at all into deadly telepathic one-shot assassins instantly. For the aggressive mode, you can just use the demolition charges to blow up the door. You get these by looting a fairly heavily guarded farm. Take your time and clear out the numpties before heading into the basement. There'll be a couple of guards down there and they usually rush you, so you can just stand at the top of the stairs and pick them off. To pull off aggressive solo on the island, you need to take your time in some sections and then run in others. A uniform will make secondaries easier. Then when you're in the compound, find cover, take out the guards close to you and move quickly to the next section. Make sure you know where the Juggernaut is. He's best avoided rather than killed if you've blown the gates, as he can one-shot you easily before you've got a chance to kill him. You can kill him, but it's more trouble than it's worth. If you're going aggressive without blowing the gate, just make sure to kill the Juggernaut first, sneak up behind him, whack him on the head, and then empty a full clip into his face. Pretty much does the trick. Be mindful that you can be shot whilst in the basement, and when you have the main target, just go back up in the elevator and take a minute to clear out this area below you before jumping over the ledge and heading for the door. Again, make sure you know where the Juggernaut is, as the guards don't actually move around that much while you're upstairs. Once outside, head straight up the path and shoot everything that moves. There'll be a jeep and a bike coming along shortly, so take one of those and head over to the cliff. Your best bet here is to swim off the island, as you want to be gone as soon as possible. Keep topping up on snacks as you swim, because you will take damage in the water. Staying as deep as you can will minimise this a little. Head over to these 3 mines over here to trigger the end of the mission. Now balanced, and this is my favourite approach. I usually use the long fin to head to the airstrip, but this works well for any approach and any secondary loot location. Loot the warehouse and the shed if you need to do both to get full loot. You only need to kill this dude here, this one here, and remember to knock out this camera here. Then get back in your long fin and head over to the drainage tunnel and cut through. When in the compound, take this route, wait for this dude to bugger off,
sometimes I get so mad there's no control.
Sneak around this one,
I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know, my wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God,
and this one,
goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes.
loot the safe and get your primary. Now smack this dude and this one. And if you're lucky, you'll get keys from one of these and can go through this gate. If not, just wait for this dude again and head to the main gate. As soon as you get close to the gate, just spam right on the D-pad to exit. It won't matter if the guards spot you at the last minute, as long as you hit this before they set the alarm off. When you're outside, slot this guy and steal his bike. Then head over here and slot this guy so he doesn't find the body. It only takes a few seconds and it stops the hellies coming after you as you escape, so it's well worth it. Then again, jump off the cliff and head to the 3 mines to trigger the end of the mission. So to summarise, the patrol boat has a very difficult setup. It's okay for solo. Elite challenge would be difficult. It's not that fun, so it's rated 6th and last. Stealth Annihilator, quite difficult. Okay for solo. Elite challenge again would be difficult. Again, not great fun, rated 5th. Vellum has a very easy setup mission. It's good for solo. Elite challenge would be quite easy, and the whole mission is quite easy. It's quite good fun, rated 4th. The Alkanost, quite an easy setup mission. It's good for solo, quite easy to get elite. It's decent fun, so this one is rated 3rd. The Kasatka has an easy setup mission. It's excellent for solo. The Elite Challenge is actually quite difficult with this route, and also it's not that much fun. This is probably the dullest route, but because it's so easy, that one's rated 2nd. And out in first, you've got the long fin with easy setup, excellent for solo, very easy to get elite. The whole mission itself is easy but also quite fun, and that's coming in easy first. So I hope this helps you all. If you like this video, please do consider dropping a like or subscribing. This video took ages to produce. I ran the finale around 40 times to cover all the different options. But don't feel sorry for me, because I made an absolute fortune and treated myself to this. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.